Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's me playing some Netrunner as I want to do each week. Think I'm just soloing it again this week, so I'm just gonna be chilling out here for a little bit. I guess, I've never really understood the whole like stream countdown thing that streams do. Oh god, what am I doing? Oh god, oh no. Oh, I'm not good at streaming. I've never really understood the whole like stream countdown thing people do, but I think part of it is so that you don't have this weird twilight moment where you're just like, hey, I'm just sitting here talking to an empty room. You kind of, hey, the stream's live. File on into the chat, but don't you worry about me. That makes a lot more sense. I don't know if I care enough about this to like set something like that up, considering that, I think on a busy week we're streaming to like what, 8 people? And on a not busy week we're streaming to like 2 or 1. This is mostly just I'd be doing this tonight regardless, and it's kind of fun to turn the stream on, so why not? That's what we're doing. I think I've advertised the stream once over in like the GLC Discord, but frankly, I mean, listen, how much I want to fucking invite people to just jump on here and yell at me for being bad at Netrunner. Maybe I do, maybe I don't care. I don't know. Tired. I have been too fucking in on seeing the new Vantage Point cards to get good sleep like I should be. My wife has entered the room because I wrote down that she's reading a book. So she's gonna do anything but that. Hello, my beautiful wife. How's it going?
Okay, well, I came in to kiss you goodnight, but I guess I'll
Oh wait, no, oh no, my hubris, no. Thank you. I love you so much. My light, my hope, my way, my guiding star. Mwah. Anyway, let's play some Netrunner. Oh, or at least let's talk about Netrunner. I don't know. They've put out a lot of fucking new cards. It's a hell of a week to be in a network. It sure fucking is. They've put out so many cards. It's like they got a whole new set dropping or something in like a week. It's pretty exciting. It's next week, right? Yeah. Because it's next Monday. So my hope for next week, it's gonna depend on when the JNut when the JNut update hits. What I would like to do next week is start streaming at the regular time and just like chat and theorycraft and deck build, and then fingers crossed JNet updates at midnight and we just play a whole bunch of fucking Netrunner, maybe go pretty late into the night, maybe not do much more than just play Netrunner all night, because that's probably all I'm gonna do anyway, so I may as well keep the stream going, right? And just try out a whole bunch of shit. So look forward to that. Again, I don't know how JNet tends to go with this stuff. I was around for when Elevation dropped, but I don't remember. I remember it updated like in the middle of the night, but I don't know if it was like at midnight or if it was the night of or if it was a couple days later. I have no idea. Justine, I'm gonna play an NBN deck that's fucked up. Yeah. I'm excited for Editorial Division. I am also really excited for what the new cards do for Synapse. I think it might make me like Synapse. I'm excited to give it a try. Using like Rezzing Nihilo Agent at start of turn to remove a tag and fast advance an agenda sounds like a fun thing to do to a person. And I guess you can just do that repeatedly, right? If they don't trash it or clear the tag themselves. Nihilo might be more of a Synapse support card than a editorial support card, honestly. Or it might... we're at a point right now where, like, hey, there's hours of footage of me playing Netrunner at this point. We all know I'm okay at best. So one thing I'm definitely, like, under-equipped for is really evaluating cards. And there's a lot of cards where I'm like, are these fucking broken? Or are these kind of shitty? Or are they fine? I can't really tell. Maybe we'll look through some of the stuff. I don't know. I don't have like all the community stuff like right at hand, I don't think, so we might not look at too much of that. I think it was the 15th last Sunday, right? So I guess we talked about like editorial and all that stuff. Um but yeah, they announced Hiram the morning after we streamed last week. I think Hiram is pretty fucking cool. I know I've definitely seen some people be kind of like on him. He's so rad to me. And I don't know if he'll be like legitimately good. I don't know if he's my kind of runner. But the idea that you're getting no material benefit, you are just getting a massive advantage in the information war, is such a fun take on Shaper to me. The idea that, like, I'm not going to waste deck slots on multi-access. I'm not going to waste turns building up twin encounters. I am simply going to know exactly when to run R&D to snipe a single off of it every single time. Or the flip of it is I'm going to run R&D at inopportune times for the corporation to force them to waste resources keeping me out, when in reality I'm bluffing and I don't care about what's on R&D right now. It was it Neon Static where they played a game of Hiram versus Melius U. That seemed super fun. The two IDs like kind of counter each other in a weird way. Melius arguably kind of counters Hiram more, but they both just ratchet up the mind games that the other side plays so much, where like, you know, surely you just put something on R&D all the time as Melius, right? But then that means they know to run like archives to turn Melius off, so does that mean you put the mark on archives? And like, that level of like, kind of like a side game in a way, but like a little more interesting than just, you know, the rock paper scissors, not even rock paper scissors, you know, just the betting of the side game. I think that is so cool. I will be really sad if Hiram is not at least like solid, because he's maybe the coolest runner I've seen. He's rad as hell. I love him. I love his stupid little techno cane. Like, his backpack of, like, old analog equipment, I think that's legitimately just, like, great, awesome. And then I love that he's like, well, I gotta stay on theme. Better get out the hot glue gun and glue some LEDs onto this wooden cane so it's also cyberpunk. Is so funny to me. What are those fucking lights doing on there, guy? What's that wire running to? Nothing. Nothing. Come on, who you trying to kid? Yeah, I am high on Hiram. I think he's rad as hell. Oh, I had this pulled up. This is the new scoop that just hit a little bit ago on Cell 2.0. I feel like I was just saying, I have a hard time evaluating Netrunner cards without like playing with them. I think that is like twice as bad for ice and icebreakers, and especially really big chunky ice. I never know if this is like worth playing or not. I feel like obviously you read this and it's terrifying, but I read this 8 up here and that's terrifying to me as a corp. But then Send a Message exists, but then HB has a good 5-3 now, so do they keep using Send a Message? And well, if they're going to use on-cells and bronze everywhere, yeah, of course they will. Is that worth doing? Is that good? I'm bad at figuring that out. It does just get munched by like Chisel and Awaceris crew, so that's not good. It does kind of eat revolver bullets, which is nice. With the caveat that, like, especially in like Criminal, you don't care about this subroutine, so it eats revolver bullets about as well as every other big sentry. But you know, if you're in Shaper or Anarch and you care about what's in your discard, and you're fielding revolver out of action, then it can break this fully one time, and that's, you know, not great. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Because I would look at Cloud Eater, for instance, and be like, yeah, no, listen, cool card, that's fun. You're never gonna fucking put that in a real deck. But then, you know, RH puts a Cloud Eater in there and, like, reses it with Send a Message, or just makes a bunch of money and jumps you with it. I got fucking murked by a Cloud Eater the other night because I think I was playing Seb, and I think I was doing like a transfer of wealth, and they had scored 2 proprio negations, and they popped me over to archives, rezzed a Cloud Eater, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Well, no big deal. I can just tank the damage. And then I passed the Cloud Eater, and then they popped the other proprio negation to make me go through it again, and hey, I couldn't live through it twice. I only had 5 cards in hand, and I just died. So, I don't know. Is this the kind of riveting analysis people are hungry for from Netrunner content at the moment? Just, oh, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But neat, I guess. I don't have much nostalgia for like 2.0 Bioroids, but it seems like other people do, so I guess I'm happy for them. I think if anything, I would rather like the 2.0 effect on a more mid-range ice that is like really making them have to think about, do I, pay the money to kill this or do I lose 2 clicks? Whereas this, it just kind of, well, they'll be, the dream, right, is that there's situations where they just can't. Like, they have no choice but to just lose their turn turning one of these subroutines off, let alone all of them, because they just don't have the money, because it's big and scary. But, like, what's Revolver break this for? And with the caveat, again, the bullet situation, it breaks it for what? 2 for 3? So it only breaks it for $2, right? Revolver's 2 strength, right? Revolver. Oh, it's 1 strength. So it breaks it for 4. That's still not that much money. Echelon doesn't like this thing. Echelon doesn't like this thing at all. Because I feel like at most Echelon gets to like 4 strength when you keep like a spent propeller on the board to keep its strength up. So Echelon breaks this for like 7. That's rough. That's no good. What are the other big killers? I'm forgetting a big one. Who is the Anarch killer? I guess the Anarch killer is just Echelon. Carmen breaks it for like... Is it Carmen that's a 2 strength? Am I getting Carmen mixed up with Revolver? But obviously Carmen has to pay for the subs. Yeah, so Carmen is 2 to boost, 4 to break. So that's 6. Yeah, I mean, it's bad numbers. It's not good numbers. So I don't know. I'm sure you see this in some Glacier decks. I don't know if it becomes like the new big thing or not. We'll see. Did I close Null Signal Games? I did. I didn't mean to do that. Let's get back in there. What else we got? So we talked about Hiram. Right. I saw the Let Them Dream article. And I was like, oh, Let Them Dream? Okay. And then I popped over and saw Let Them Dream banned, and I missed that it was for startup, and I was like, oh, what? So all the talk in this article about how it like balances the game is just like, never mind, ban this fucking thing. But no, it's in startup, which makes much more sense. I don't really play startup, so I have no real opinions on the ban list or all the like game theory put out here, even though it probably is relevant to standard in some way, and I should probably take a look at it. They gave HB an agenda finally. That's pretty cool. I like that it's a little less hard to steal than Ikawa in exchange for giving the corp a bonus when they steal it. I think 5-3 should like hurt when they score it beyond just 3 points. I kind of want them to do both, to be both defensive and offensive. Like Basalt Spire is a pretty perfect 5-3 to me. Fuji. So I think this fits into that really well. You can, I'm sure, do some horrible fucked up bullshit with that extra click in HB. It's bad out there. There's some PD fast advanced decks that are not. Oh boy, I have played against several people that play here locally that can easily score 4 or 5 points in one turn, and it hurts so bad. It just, did you like get a good running start turn 1 and 2 to shut them down? No? Oh buddy, they're putting you in the pair wiggler then. It's a bad time. Yeah, I mean, it seems good. I feel like if it was like, well, you know what I was gonna say, if it was basically anything, if it was blank, HB would like it, but that's not true because Salvo is better than literally blank, and they don't use that. But this seems good. I'm glad for HB freaks that they can continue to do more HB freak bullshit. And then the other agenda, they brought back Global Food Initiative. Yay! The numbers on it aren't really the same, and it does other stuff, but it's GFI. Yay! I don't know. I feel all over the place on this one. I have gone from, wait, do you even like care about this? Is this even like a problem for the runner? To, oh, is this way too big of a problem for a runner? Is this going to just make certain games just a nightmare? To, it's an obstacle to climb over, but you climb over it. What do? You pole vault it like this guy, the guy in the damn picture. Um, but yeah, the berry effect on top of lowering the corpse effective agenda density is pretty tough. Because you score. Imagine this is the first thing you score. So you've got, even if you only have one Let Them Dream in your deck, which you shouldn't do because it doesn't do anything if you only have one. Because no matter what, like unless you have a ton of one pointers, I guess, or so. Yeah, no, having one Let Them Dream makes no sense, and that's the big difference between it and GFI is that one GFI could make sense and this doesn't. But yeah, imagine it's the first thing you score. And then, so you've taken 2 out of 19 points out of contention. And then you bury a 5-3, and you've taken 3 more points effectively out of contention. With the caveat, right, of course, that, like, that means you can't spin, you can't do some other shuffle effect stuff, you can't tutor anything. But, like, you having just, 16 points available for the runner right away? That's scary. That's real scary. Scoring it later in the game when they've got their multi-axis set up and you've used up your spin doctors, so you're not going to be shuffling your deck. That sucks. It feels to me like, obviously they're talking in this article about wanting scoring corpse to feel better and kind of implying, I think, I don't remember where it is, but they almost implied like maybe the rules would be better if the runner had to score 1 more point than the corp does. Is that? I'm not gonna find it, I don't think. There we go. Yeah. Like Spin Doctor, Global Initiative was in some ways a patch on the core systems of Netrunner. If we redesign the game from scratch, we might make some changes to how many agenda points are required. Yeah, I guess I can see that argument. I'm not sitting here crunching like tournament results or doing the game theory math stuff, so I'm definitely not in a position to be like, no, that's fine. But like subjectively it feels mostly fine to me. Maybe that's just a sign that I'm not good enough as runner. I don't know. This might backfire spectacularly against Asa, which would be funny. Is that? I mean, you are still getting to bury the agenda. So unless you are just fully milling them out with Asa, I don't know how much Asa specifically cares on this one. I'm not sure if I'm seeing what you're saying. Seeing what you're seeing on that one. But yeah, I don't know. I could go anywhere on this one from it's gonna get banned in 2 months to it's gonna sit in a binder forever and like everywhere in between. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Stick and Poke is not gonna be in a binder forever, or is not gonna be banned rather. People are not feeling good about this one. It is purely just, hey, Ryu, we banned the one and only card that makes you make sense as an ID. Here, buddy, here's something else that no one else likes. That kind of sucks, except when it's paired with your ID. I don't know. I think Ryu is really cool, and I want him to be useful. I think it'll be swell if this accomplishes that. will it accomplish that? I mean, they banned Hosh, and there's not like an obvious reg Anarch anymore. So maybe it does. Maybe it does. I think what I would really like to see, and there's still a lot of cards they haven't shown yet. What would make me feel really good about Stick and Poke is if there was some other piece of like damage synergy. Either, not literally, what's it called, Clan Vengeance, because that thing is overpowered, but something like in the style of Clan Vengeance that like builds up power as you take damage. Maybe even make it self-inflicted damage. Although that wouldn't work with Stick and Poke, because technically you're not getting damaged by your own card. You're getting damaged by the corpse card that's been changed by your card. It's a weird, like, domino effect thing. But, if you had something that made it so that you got stronger the more damage you took, that makes Stick and Poke look a lot better. If you had something like, what's it called, Titanium Ribs, that let you decide what you lost through damage, that makes Stick and Poke look a lot better. And a lot of the things that would make Stick and Poke look better for Ryu would also make Topan's ability look way stronger. So I'm like mildly hopeful we'll get something like that, because they've straight up said they want to give like the less loved runners like toys to play with and things that might boost them up. And I don't think Topan is as dead in the water as Ryu, but like they're pretty dead in the water, I would really like to see something. I don't think Stick and Poke gets Ryu all the way there, and I think one more piece of support that like made damage good would help both Topan and Ryu get there. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm wish casting for right now from them. On a flavor level, I do love these two fucking pervert possums. They disgust me and I mean that in a positive way. What else we got? Oh yeah, they brought back Chrysium Grid because they unbanned daily, not daily. Well, they did unban daily cast, but they unbanned Deep Dive, unbanned DreamNet. They banned friggin' Hoshiko. They banned friggin' Sable. I feel bad about being happy about that, but like, Hosh really had to go. I'm so sad that I'm like bored and annoyed by the Magical Girl ID, because that's such a I love the flavor, but get the fuck out of here. I'm tired of looking at you, Hosh. I'm sorry. Sable, I'm like less at that level on, but I get it. I especially get it in light of Deep Dive being unbanned. So like, yeah, that's I was gonna say that's a trade I'll take. We'll see. I am not a Deep Dive hater. I've played a lot of Deep Dive decks. I think it's a really cool card. If I was gonna knock it at all, it's that it is very much a slot machine, and sometimes it can kind of feel bad to like play this whole like strategy game, and then it comes down to just random chance at the end. And like obviously variance and random chance is baked into any card game. It's baked into any multi-axis strategy. But I can understand the feel bad of it on that level. I can also, having lost some rough games due to Deep Dive whiffs, understand the feel bad of it on the runner side when it doesn't work. When you pull off this like big complicated turn, you're burning resources to gain clicks, you slap your haymaker punch down, and like, there was 1 point in the top 8 cards, the rest are all buried. For instance, by Let Them Dream. Cool. And now measured response and I'm dead. Great. I love to see it. Thank you so much, sir. The adding flagship back, adding Let Them Dream into the card pool, I think it's probably not going to feel nearly as bad as it felt to some people in early Elevation before it got banned out. Especially when you can't play it at a Sable, and like, getting the 5th click is not that hard. You You probably wanted to play a Hannah anyway. If you're playing it in faction as Shaper, then hey, Pichichao is free. There's a deck running rampant right now. Not running rampant. There's a deck that is being played right now that, like, just gets infinite clicks. So, like, that's not much of a restriction. But it does mean that you're not in the situation that I've definitely seen of, like, oh, I drew no ice, I mulliganed, I still drew no ice. Sable runs HQ, steals an agenda, runs R&D, runs archives, deep dives for 2 agendas and wins. You know, that can't happen now. So that's good. And yeah, if it does continue to be a problem, I'm sure they'll ban it again. I figure they basically unbanned it because, hey, it's a cool, fun card, and it would be nice if the meta's reached a point where it's not a menace. It's also very much something I didn't like when they banned Deep Dive, was it did kind of feel like it turned into, oh, okay, so every single successful runner deck is just on the twinning. There is one dominant win con, and you can either play it or you can leave value on the table, right? Like, it just felt like, at least with Deep Dive, the twinning has competition, and there are 2 different types of decks you can build around. And that's more variety than just having the twinning around. Now, I do think there has been, you know, Sebastião is actually doing pretty well right now, and he doesn't use either of them, right? He just does lots of, like, smaller multi-axes with Manuel or with Eru, which Eru plus Manuel is, like, a fully charged twinning, and does, like, remote camping, blowing up, you know, remote servers so that you don't have a scoring server. There are strategies that are not just twinning all the time. People have been, like, using Wake Implant a lot more, or, like, supplementing twinning with Wake Implant to just see a deep dive's worth of cards. So it doesn't feel as just, like, oppressively everywhere as it did in, like, July or August, but I do still... It's something I'm still hoping we... Another, like, wish casting thing for VP. I would love 1 or 2 more, like, solid runner win cons that you have to build your deck around, just to create some more variety. On, like, I don't even know if you could say it's, like, unbalanced or anything like that. I'm not making that argument. On an emotional level, just pure vibes based, I kind of hate the twinning as a card, because getting recurring credits every turn on your, you know, resources and hardware and what have you is already a reward. It's already something you're getting value out of. So the twinning is a card that rewards you for getting rewarded. And I think that's lame and sucks. You know? Like, Seb is a card that rewards you for hurting yourself, in theory, right? For, like, making yourself vulnerable to the corp. And, like, Amanuensis rewards you for making yourself vulnerable to an end of the line. All that kind of thing. Whereas the twinning is just, oh yeah, hey, you're playing the game you would be playing anyway, even if I didn't exist. Congratulations, here's a trophy, you know? Like, you would use all the companions, and you would use Chesva if they never printed the twinning. Which to me makes the twinning a lame win con. But that's, again, purely a matter of taste. And again, definitely not trying to say, again, that means the twinning's not fair, or it should, like, you know, I don't know about all that. I just think it doesn't... I want win cons that force you to play in a unique way to achieve the win con, and Deep Dive accomplishes that. Deep Dive forces you to, like, strategically plan the quest turn, and, you know, by all means, if it gets too easy to run all 3 centrals, ban stuff or print new cards that make it harder, like Flagship. That's awesome, you know, but I like that you have to think through and, like, do something that you wouldn't normally do to make Deep Dive go, you know? What else we got? We got Magistrate Revanchelet, which is, they made yellow Fut. They put Fut in NBN, and it does economic damage instead of, you know, physical damage. Seems cool, you know? I don't know. It's gonna be another card that makes me sad when, like, Epiphany reses it and be like, Okay, all right. One more fucking thing I gotta trash. Okay. One more fucking thing I gotta, like, have B1001 stop me from trashing. Um, I really want to see the Anarch Quest card we know coming. Yeah, I'm really curious what the Anarch Quest card is going to be. That is definitely something I want to know more about. Um, there's like, it is hard. They've shown us enough cards that it can be hard to realize. Like, I think we are still less than half of the set has been revealed, which is kind of wild because, yeah, excuse me, because they have shown off some wild shit already. Um, I'm really excited to see where that stuff goes. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I used to be a big NBN pervert back when I played in FFG times, and for whatever reason, when I came back, like NBN just kind of wasn't calling to me the way it used to. Editorial division and the potential buffs to Synapse have me more excited about NBN. So I simultaneously look at this thing and just feel despair in my heart, but also a little bit of a sicko in my heart, because what if I played Magistrate Vonchulette and made you waste all your money? Um, I did, I did think it was interesting. This article starts off talking about, because I really like when they publish these, of like showing the levels of development they go through for a card. I think that's super cool. Um, And I guess, you know what, maybe this is me reading too much into, because what they say is, how do we translate NBN's economic advantage into real scoring pressure without creating non-games? And where I took that was like, when I have dipped my toe into NBN, I have found you make money hand over fist. You just get so fucking rich, and you don't have things to spend it on. Your ice is all very porous. Your assets are all pretty cheap. The only thing to really spend it on for like win con is like Hollow Man, which, hey, Hollow Man's pretty strong. Hollow Man is a really good win con for the corp, and it is expensive. So like that's not nothing. But I've definitely found I've had a lot of NBN games, especially when I haven't played like optimally, like I have made so much more money than I can ever hope to spend. So when I read that initially, I was like, okay, they want to design a card that will let you dump that money into, points or whatever. And going through all these steps, where's the one that would like cost X to res? Yeah, this one. When you res this asset, place X power counters on it. As an initial cost to steal, the runner must pay a credit for each hosted power counter. That's ridiculous. Obviously, that's ridiculous. Because if you just dump 15 credits into it, then all of a sudden just agendas are untouchable, and like that doesn't make sense. But it made sense to me from what they were saying of like, we want a card that lets you take your big money advantage and turn it into points, right? The finished version of Revanchulette doesn't really let you turn your money into points. It lets you take more money out of the runner's pocket, which is good. And also, that is an economic advantage. That does keep them out. I think I was more excited to see something that would let you spend money in a big way. Along the lines of, say, some other cards that they've shown off, maybe over in Wayland. But, I do still think it's a cool card. And it's another horrible asset piece that will make me so sad to see rezzed. What if End of the Line is the win con? Well, sure, that's the other one, right? I feel like the win cons for NBN are like Hollow Man, Shipment from Vladisibirsk, and End of the Line. Um, yeah. It is a little like, because I was trying to, because thinking about editorial division, I was trying to think like, come up with fork lines or whatever. And it does suck a little bit that like, well, tagging the shit out of them, you can't like fork them and be like, well, if you do X, I'm gonna kill you, but if you do Y, I'm gonna fast advance an agenda out. I guess you can do that with Hollow Man, is the answer. But I was like, Shipment from Vladisibirsk and End of the Line are both like the same game state, so it's kind of like the only reason you would do Shipment is, I guess, either A, you don't want to spend all that influence on End of the Line, or B, you're like worried about them having too much kill protection or something, right? Yeah. What else we got? What else? I think that's all of the that's all the NSG previews. I think if I just scroll through like some personal discords, I can find other cards. Let me see if I can in a way that is like timely in any way. These are going to be in kind of reverse order from when they've shown up, just because that's the order I've got them. We got Rotary, the console for Vic, which seems like it's kind of mixed opinions. I think it's cool. I do think the console slot for Criminal is a really competitive slot, you know? Hermes is simply a very powerful card. This is powerful too, but you do have other ways to see one additional card on a central, and maybe you just lean into those instead of Rotary. It's something I've been a little like, and hey, given all the disclaimers I've given, I'm like, I'm not the best at like evaluating cards. Maybe I should shut the fuck up. But the thing that has kind of annoyed me with people talking about Vic is like, oh, I can't, what can we throw into this deck to give ourselves tags to fire our ability? But the thing about Vic, I think they've got it on here, right? Yeah. The thing about Vic, compared to, say, Seb, Vic doesn't want to be tagged. Vic doesn't like being tagged. Vic can simply deal with the tag more efficiently than anyone else can. Ideally, Vic is untagged and spends a click to draw a card. If they're tagged, they can throw an extra $1 in there to get rid of the tag. And that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. But I'm saying I'm not going out of my way to tag myself like I would if I was playing Sebastião, who, like, actively seeks tags to fire his ability off of, And I think a lot of the Seb support kit tends to be balanced around the idea that, like, hey, you're taking a tag as a punishment here, but don't worry, buddy, it's not really a punishment. Like, actually, secretly, this is a good thing that you're eating the tag, So a lot of Seb cards, I don't know, like, some of them, like, Eru is just good, right? I think you definitely import Eru into Vic. And maybe I'm just wrong altogether, because maybe a lot of the Seb cards would come over into Vic just fine, if not for influence, right? Like, hey, am I really going to complain about Crew? Well, I don't know. I'm not going to be, like, abusing Crew the way I abuse it in Seb, If I don't have the Seb ability, I might have like one or two as like, a get out of jail free card, but it's not the same thing as Seb where I'm like, yeah, I'll take them as tags and I'll use them as tags to install money, and then I'll go clear that tag and praxis and take another tag and install a thing to get the Crew back, and now I'm sick, I'm looping them, and you can't. Why'd you bother putting ice in this deck, stupid? I'm eating it all. Munch. I don't think Vic could really follow that line, because Vic's not getting value out of the tags. It's just getting a reduced penalty from the tags, But hey, maybe we'll see that I'm wrong. I do think DreamNet getting unbanned is kind of more exciting for Vic than any of the Vic support stuff we've seen so far. Getting a card and a credit every time you run is gigantic. That's obviously just going to be a huge thing. And then, yeah, I think they put the other Vic support card out today too, right? Where is it? Do I have that one handy? It's further back. Okay. They put out this new Ice Knowledge Seeker. Once again, I feel like I am worst equipped to evaluate Ice. It's strong. I think it's probably better than Onsell 2.0. I wonder if we'll really get a really stupid Crim Icebreaker that eats tags or something. My bet is that, so let's set Knowledge Seeker aside for a second. Let me find, here it is. The other piece of Vic support that they've shown off is Borrowed Goods, which is free to install, gives you 1 MU, and if you're untagged when you play it, you take a tag. People were not really very interested in this in the Discord, in the like green level clearance. They were very like, "Oh, this fucking sucks. What's the point of this? This is dumb. Criminal doesn't need extra MU. At most, Criminal like occasionally wants one extra MU to fit like a compilation in when they've got their whole board, but like you can just play around that. It's not a big deal. Whatever. This has no potential use case." And I feel like, and maybe, hey, I ain't psychic, I ain't talked to nobody, but the fact that this card exists to me implies that maybe they're thinking about putting out a higher MU criminal program. If there's some really good 2MU crim program that maybe interacts with tags, I think it makes borrowed goods make a lot more sense as a card. And I'm kind of like sitting back and waiting and seeing what they do before I say this is just like crappy. It makes it would just make a lot of sense to me if they gave you a reason to need more MU in crim alongside printing a way to get more MU in crim. We'll see if that's right or not, but it's a little frustrating seeing how quick people are to snap to judgments about a lot of these cards when, again, we haven't seen half the set yet, guys. There could be some wild shit down the pipe still. Coming down the pike. It's pike, right? Like road. Things can come down a pipe. I feel like that's one of those ones where, if you say, well, no, it's not I could care less, it's I couldn't care less. All right, fair enough. I could care less makes no sense. Coming down the pipe versus coming down the pike, those are both completely sensible things. Luke, you have to remember every card is either Hoshiko or Memory Diamond. Yeah, exactly. Every card is either Hoshiko or Memory Diamond, I'm trying to think if there's any examples of stuff from Elevation that people were just like way off base about. I wasn't watching like the live Discord reactions during Elevation, so I don't have as strong of a sense of that. People were scared of touch-ups, and they were right to be scared of touch-ups. They were dismissive of P2 and tie-in, and so far it seems like they were right to be dismissive of P2 and tie-in, People were dismissive of Bangoon. No, that's it. No, you know what? That is one people were wrong about. There were people excited about Bangoon, and then my poor, sweet, beautiful baby Bangoon has maybe not really performed at the level people were hoping it would. It'll be fine. VP is gonna make Bangoon tier 1 deck all time. Abhu? No, it's all Bangoon all the time. In 2026, baby. Just you watch. But yeah, I don't know. Like, yes, on its face, this is not, like, blowing my mind as a card. Even in the best case scenario, in the best of all possible worlds for it, it's not a sexy effect, right? It's a work-a-day, just gets the job done effect, but sometimes you need those. And I just think it's probably likely they're gonna give you a reason to want this. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, jump back to Knowledge Seeker. Hey, you know what Jinteki doesn't have much of right now are good code gates. They've got, like, Vampire Anasa and, Vampire Anasa. I think Diviner is the only end-the-run code gate they've got right now. Well, they've got Hafrun, but, like, Hafrun's funky. If I'm looking to gear check them on a, decoder, Hafrun doesn't get that done. Does anyone other than Ob even play Hafrun? Does Jinteki actually use Hafrun? Like, I think I've seen it once, maybe. So, this is definitely filling a hole that they had. Goofing around with the top of R&D is always a fun thing to do. Especially with Melius U. I feel like you're double dipping on goofing around with R&D. That seems fun. The virus element of it is interesting. I guess it incentivizes you to want, like, viruses, which maybe incentivizes you. I was seeing people kind of theory crafting on this one that, like, hey, if you're trying to keep virus counters off of Knowledge Seeker, maybe you also import Sandstone as, like, a pretty solid work-a-day barrier, which maybe that's got some sense to it. obviously you just let it fire if you're against like a heavy virus deck, right? Like if you've got Botulus is cooking, if they've got like a 4 counter fermenter going. But they won't ever have a form. You're never gonna hit fermenter with this thing because the runner decides when it triggers, right? So that you don't really care about that. The art is sick. I love this like skeleton fox thing. It's designed by Saka, so I can't help but assume between the owl, and the foxes in the library that this is like an Avatar reference. That they just kind of like took a few steps removed away to make the reference non-obvious. Which, God bless. But yeah, I don't know. It's a cool card. It's filling a niche. It means I'm not importing MIC into an RH deck, probably, right? Maybe I still am. It's a pretty good fucking card, but it always feels weird to import ice. You always feel like you want those slots on like more proactive cards, and you want your own like in-faction suite of ice to be good enough for you, other than maybe 1 or 2 tech cards. So I'm glad Jinteki has a real code gate now. What else we got? Scrolling back down. They also today showed off Touchstone, which seems fucking bonkers. Holy moly, this card seems good. It is functionally in a deck that runs a lot, which I would say is most decks. Fair enough that like the ones that don't are generally shapers. But if you like running a lot, then it's kind of the exact same effect as Ghost Tongue. Except you don't have to lose you take a core damage to play it. That seems really good. That seems fucking nuts. It also, these are stealth credits, so you've got, all the weird stealth cards that, like, just didn't have a consistent enough source of stealth credits to be online, like this fucking thing. Getting the 2 credits to bypass sentries was hard off of stealth credits. Like, Taka's the only thing that could really do it that consistently. Otherwise, you're, like, playing multiple mantles, or, like, you can do it once with a penumbral toolkit, and, like, is that really what you want to waste a deck slot on? You're going to be playing a lot of events in most decks, and if you're fielding Touchstone, you're going to be playing a lot of events. I wonder if this is a card Moosely Hot wants to import. I'll bet maybe. Like, the only reason not to, I guess, would be that you already have Debbie Downtown in faction. But Debbie Downtown, you can't use the credit she's building up during the run event you're playing. So, there's some... It's a much tighter restriction. Hey, After Images in faction for Moosely Hot. If you have Touchstone, Mystic Miami, and Debbie Downtown all installed at the same time, you are making money hand over fist just for playing events. Kind of goes back to what I was saying about the twinning, of like being rewarded for a thing you would normally already be doing. Although it's not literally like direct win con stuff, so I'm not as like ugh about that. Yeah, this card seems pretty good. Pretty wild for it. Corsair is a real card now, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure about Corsair. I think Corsair would be a real menace if it was capable of comboing with Chisel. It might be too much of a menace if it could do that. As is, the only thing it can really do that a normal Fracture can't do is open up a barrier to be killed by crew. And that ain't nothing. That definitely ain't nothing. But outside of that, it is expensive to install, and it's expensive to actually break stuff with it, I don't want to be breaking ice with Corsair, even with the support from Touchstone. This breaks like a 3-strength logjam for 6. It breaks, and like that's that ain't good. Like, Korapura breaks a 3-strength logjam for 5, which also ain't good. But the idea with Korapura is you keep running and you get a rebate on that, right? There's no rebate with Corsair unless you're using it to kill stuff. And I don't know if that is really better than just using like a leech and devil charms, you know? Um, Devil charming a big ice and killing it with crew for 2 is a lot cheaper than spending a bunch of money to bring its strength down to 0 and then kill it for 2 more on top of what you already spent. I don't know about Corsair. I like it conceptually a lot, but I'm even with Touchstone, I don't think I'm convinced it's a real card. Normal Fractors and Anarch are actually a little slim as one consideration, but these are fair points. I think Rising Tide is pretty fucking good as a Fractor. Like, yeah, it's got very similar numbers to Corsair when it first comes down, but once it's up to 3 strength or more, if you've imported other Fractors, like the play pattern of having propellers for the early game and then trashing them to feed a Rising Tide late game is really good. I don't think Anarch's hurting for Fractors at all. I ate shit at locals last week because I was playing Corp against a Topon, and I killed all 3 Rising Tides. I was like, great. I've just got a piddly little barrier that I'm just gonna score out behind, and what are you gonna fucking do, dummy? And what they were gonna fucking do was just play down the Principia they imported, because I had not even seen the side of their deck that was like an imported knickknack deck that was selling Principias to feed Rising Tide in the late game just because they didn't draw the cards in the right order. So that wasn't fun. I feel like people are down on Rising Tide, maybe they shouldn't be. I think the only reason to be down on Rising Tide is that this motherfucker is incredible. If you're not playing a really long game, Propeller is a nightmare. And in Shaper, it doesn't matter if you're playing a really long game. Propeller is just wildly powerful. It gets through, like, all but the absolute tallest ice for, like, pennies on the dollar. And granted, obviously, you can only do it a finite number of times, but when you're Shaper, and you can just recur that stuff, great. When you're Anarch and can just throw them in the trash to feed a Rising Tide later on, also great. If there's any reason to dislike Rising Tide, I just think it's that it's got stiff competition, not because it's bad on its own, you know? What else we got? We can close this tab. We don't need it anymore. So that's Touchstone. We talked about borrowed goods going back. Another one that people were a lot less excited about was this guy, Beta Build. It doesn't seem amazing on its face. I don't think Test Run was amazing on its face. And like, it's got more restrictions than Test Build, so the temptation is immediately to say it's worse than a card that was already bad. If it's not bad, it's because it gives you click compression to run when you install the thing. People have talked about using it to, like, grab an Orca and then immediately knick-knack the Orca and make 7 credits, right? I don't know if a 3-card combo to make 7 credits is worth my time, you know? Not when I've got access to creative commissions. Not when, you know, certainly not out of faction, where I could, say, play a Bravado or, you know, something like that. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me as a thing to waste deck slots on. People talked about using it in, like, a Spark of Inspiration deck to, like, hey, grab exactly what you want, then put it on top, then you hit Spark of Inspiration to get exactly what you want, instead of it being random chance. At that point, you're paying 6 credits. You're paying 3 for Spark, 3 for Beta Build. Lobi Somum only costs 8 credits. Again, we're talking about a 3-card combo to save me 2 credits now? That's even worse than the Orca play, you know? So I don't think that makes any sense. I think if this card is good, And I don't know if it's good. It might be bad. If it's good, where it's good is in like grabbing a muse, installing a Trojan off of the muse, then bouncing the muse back and drawing it again. You know, it's good at like, hey, I'm Hiram and I know they've got a 3-pointer on R&D. I'm going to grab out an Euler and just smash through the knowledge seeker that they've got. You know, those are the kind of plays that make this make any sense to me. And I'll say, even that, yesterday I was like, ugh, I don't know. I think Touchstone makes it make a little bit more sense. I think taking even one functional credit of cost off of beta build makes me a lot slower to dismiss it outright. It makes me think a little bit more about like, well, maybe there's plays you can make with it. For instance, and I'm not saying this is the best move to make in the world. Say you've got Onacom as your console, you've got Touchstone installed. Let's say you've got like 1 or 2 DZMZs. You install a program, get the DZMZ discount. You play beta build, bring out a coalescence, take the money off the coalescence during the run. Touchstone has gained a credit, so that's good. Finish the run. Coalescence goes to top of deck. Beta build gets trash. You draw the coalescence for free. Next turn, you put it down for the DZMZ discount. You effectively got a 4th coalescence into your deck, you know? Is that the sickest play in the world? Not really. It's an extra 2 credits. And, hey, going back to my complaints about the other beta build ideas, it's a 2-card combo for 2 credits. It's kind of a 3-card combo for 2 credits with Touchstone. So that's... I'm talking myself into it sucking, actually, because I was poo-pooing a 3-card combo for 7 credits. Although, to be fair, you know, we're also factoring in you're getting more coalescence on the back end. Like, I would like to be wrong. I would like everybody to be wrong, because I love it when the foolish are disproven. And the little engine that could wins everything. I have not yet seen a fully convincing case for this being a good card. I think if its influence wasn't through the fucking roof for some reason, maybe you could do some fun stuff with Moosely Hot in it. I don't think there is any universe in which you burn 3 influence to bring this into Moosely Hot. So, I don't know. Shaper's just not a faction hurting for deck tutors, you know? You could already have up to 6 of them before we factor this one in. I don't really know what the point of this card is. And, again, I nothing would make me happier than to be proven wrong about it, but I'm not seeing it. What else we got? We got Flywheel. Let me open this one up. They made a Wayland version of Drafter. I think that's pretty nifty. I think Flywheel is pretty fucking cool. I think Wayland is eating good this set, even though they're not getting a new ID. A problem Wayland tends to have is that a lot of their... Well, I shouldn't say a lot. It's really just 1 card and 2 now, with another card we'll talk about in a minute here. You know, Winchester's an excellent card. I don't like playing it turn 1, though, because they just simply run through my shit, and they don't care about any of the Winchester subs, you know? And I burned all of my early game money. Hammer, kind of the same thing. Really strong when their board is set up, and, like, Hammer's in this weird spot where, like, it's a mix of, like... It doesn't do anything when they don't have a board set up. It gives them a tag, who fucking cares? And when their board is set up, they can probably deal with the hammer. It's kind of purely just an AI hate card, and it's a bit of a dead card otherwise. Flywheel, though. Flywheel, I'm feeling pretty good about installing turn 1. I'm feeling pretty good about, absolutely give me 2 credits and 2 cards. Give me 2 cards and refund the cost of resing the ice, turn 1. Yeah. Thank you. 3 strength is means it's not trivial to break, even once they've got their killer down. it taxes out revolver bullets that they could be spending on like Biowak subroutines. If they do get in a point where like, they're just kind of breaking this trivially, it doesn't matter anymore. That's what Extract is for. I think this is a really strong piece of ice. I like it quite a bit. I'm excited to use it. Then the other big Wayland stuff from the same day, they brought back Border Control. It's a Sentry now. It got a makeover. The art looks sick as hell on this card. I always love like a weird fucked up black hole effect. It's not a hard ETR the way that Border Control was. It's also just insta-dies to like a chisel. But then of course, you see that coming and can just pop the trash effect on it. So it's not miserable that it's 0 strength, but it's notable. It's good. I think it's hard to argue this is not a good piece of ice. Is it like as excellent as a piece of ice as Border Control was? I don't know. I suspect yes, but the fact that it is technically not a hard gear check, that is notable. But Ob's happy. Ob's got a thing it can trash. So how bad can it be, right? It's good. It's also anti-deep dive tech. I think you'll probably be hard pressed not to have at least one in basically every Wayland deck. It just seems like a solid ass card. A card that you probably will not put in every Wayland deck, although, God, I don't know, maybe. Who fucking knows? Is Myoshu. I think I'm saying that right. 10 credits to play. If you have scored an agenda that you did not install this turn, you just get 2 points. And everybody is immediately going nuts figuring out like 1-turn kill combos with this, where you just score a bajillion points all at once. And it's interesting. Wayland can definitely make a lot of fucking money sometimes. And a Wayland can definitely fast advance agendas sometimes. This is another card where I feel very torn between, is this just like fun in practice but dog shit on paper, or is this a nightmare that we never wake up from until they ban it? I don't know. I could really go either way on it. Doing this with like, people have been posting a lot of like potential lines you can do with it, and the thing is, assuming enough money and enough copies of Myoshu, you can win on any given turn, right? Like, install advance, a vulnerability audit. Next turn, seamless launch, score the vulnerability audit, Myoshu, game over, right? Now that is a 23 credit combo. How often can a deck have 23 spare credits in addition to defending a scoring remote? There is an Ob deck right now, the one I've been playing, that is built around the idea that you just hardway res Biowak, so it's not that crazy. I don't know. I kind of hope it's bad. I'm not excited about it. It's odd to me to put this emphasis on like, well, we want Scoring Corps to be stronger, and that's why we're gonna let them just fuck you end the game by having an extra 10 credits around. I guess that's one way to make them stronger. I guess that's one way to make me feel like I literally can't ever let them score an agenda or I lose. I feel like part of the push and pull of Netrunner is very much like, I could steal that, but it would leave me in a bad position, and I can afford to let that agenda through, so I'll let that agenda through and build my board. And if Myoshu is a real, actual threat, that stops being a thing you get to think as the runner, right? And I guess the fair thing to say, right, is this gives the runner the same fear that the Corp has about Deep Dive, right? Of like, well, they're on 2 or 3 points already. That means I have to treat it like we're already on game point, you know? Because one good deep dive could easily score 4 or 5 points. One good Myoshu turn could easily score 4 or 5 points. You know, even ignoring the like ridiculous play multiple Myoshus back to back, you know? So I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm not sure. Hey, as a Seb player, I'm not gonna be using less Gourmands, I'll tell you that right fucking now. Thank God it's not like a Grey Ops. Imagine if Editorial Division could tutor this. I don't know if that's the play you make with that much influence, but you know, I'm glad the option's not even on the table. What else we got? I think that gets us into like the criminal stuff they showed on Neon Static. We got Compromat. Which, as just an aside, like I have seen too many annoying liberal people on the internet in the past 10 years talk about Compromat as though like listening to fucking Mueller She Wrote makes them a Cold War spy. That I kind of just roll my eyes when I see the word at this point, so I kind of wish it had a different name, even though it fits what the card is. But, you know, setting all that aside, I like the card design a lot. I like Bad Pub being back. I like that this is kind of a criminal version of Mining Accident, which is a card that fell out during rotation that I liked a lot, where, you know, court must pay 5 or take a bad publicity. This is sort of a, criminal take on the same concept, where run a server defended by ice. After the run ends, they either de-res a piece of ice or take a bad pub. And you can just imagine so many lines of like, either they're too poor to res a piece of ice right now, or you chisel charm it so the ice that you ran doesn't exist by the end of the run, so de-resing it's not a choice. Or it's just a big honkin' ice, like an Onsell 2.0, like a, Biowalk, even like a Knowledge Seeker, something just expensive to res. That all of a sudden now it's like, oh, that really hurts my money to de-res that, but a bad pub would hurt it more, so okay, I guess. I think this is a really fun card. I'm into it. I also think the art's really cool. I like this cyber envelope. I know I was bullying Hiram about his cyber cane, but the cyber envelope is cool. This looks like it's in net space. Things are allowed to be cyber for no reason. We got Tailgate, which, hey, they brought legwork back. I'm interested to know how good legwork is now, because I feel like we're not hurting for multi-access. Like, Cupulation is a really strong card. It can steal combo pieces. It can, shut down persistent upgrades that have bad effects. And hey, they just printed a really nasty one of those with Flagship, which we didn't really talk about all that much because we were talking about the bans more. Flagship seems fine. I don't really know why Chrysium needed to be nerfed by like not being able to go on archives and some of the other stuff. But on the other side, it shuts down multi-access, which I'm pretty into, actually. Actually, let me pull up Flagship real quick, because I wanted to double check how it worked. Where is it? Boop. One card other than this upgrade. So it's not... Okay. For a second, I was like, wait, is this like Adrian Seiss where you can only access the upgrade? But no, it's... You access the upgrade, you access one other card. Although you could do weird shit by having that on like a clown car. That might be weird. Like, they can't touch other upgrades. Actually, hold on. Hold on a sec. If you put this on a central with Manic Arm Skunkworks, they have to pick between trashing the Flagship and trashing the Manic Arm, unless they cupulate the Flagship. That's kind of mean. That might actually be kind of fun. Yeah, because it's not just... Yeah. I think in my head I was only thinking about it blocking multi-access, but it blocks you touching the other upgrades also. That kind of rocks. All right. My opinion of flagship might have gone up a little. That said, you do simply just pinhole the flagship and then you're done. Which goes back to for can it not go on archives for balance reasons, or can it not go on archives because the persistent effect is awkward on archives? And the whole idea is you touch everything in archives, and like technically that would mean you're dodging traps like Mavirus and increased drop rates, because you're just not going to touch them, right? I get that on like a rules simplicity level, but like a lot of the things I'd want to slap flagship down for would be archive runs to turn off pinhole threadings, to turn off privileged access, Eru. There's a lot of stuff that flagship cannot do that Chrysium Grid could do, and I'm a little iffy about it. I don't know. That said, there is also stuff flagship can do that Chrysium Grid couldn't do, so maybe it balances out in the end. I don't know. I think it's nice to have it here regardless. But going back to what we were talking about with Tailgate, I forget how we even got on that. But, oh, right, I was talking about Cupulation, right? It's just like, Cupulation is very strong, to the point that I don't know how good Tailgate is in most criminal decks. That said, Cupulation requires, 3 total clicks? Because you got to install, you got to run to cup something, then you have to run HQ. This is all 1 click, and it's potentially, Cupulation also costs 1 to install, 1 to cup, 1 to activate the cup. This is never going to cost you more than 2, right? It might cost you 1, it might even cost you 0 if they're real scared of you getting into HQ. So it's not completely rendered obsolete by Cupulation. Moosely Hot, I think, loves this thing. I'm just not sure how big of a card it is outside of Moosely Hot. We'll see. The click compression is nothing to sneeze at, I think you hate to see it on an uniced HQ still. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might throw it at an uniced HQ. It's just expensive if you do that, and that's it's not just competing with Cupulation, it's also competing with Jailbreak. And Jailbreak sees 1 less card, but you also draw a card, it's also free to play. I don't know. We'll see. I do know one thing, though, and that's that this runner is bad at their job. Why you got all your fucking hacking gear in the top pizza box? Slip that on the bottom, or in the middle somewhere. You want that top box to have pizza in it. If anyone looks in, they're gonna see what you're doing, dummy. You gotta disguise it more. I'm looking at this art closer than I was, where I did not catch she also just has a gun. She's ready to just fucking, okay. So that's why she's not bothering to disguise it. She's just using this to, the next 2 seconds of this are like, her being like, hey, wait, oh, can I get in there? Oh, boom, ba-doom, gun. Now I'm walking in that open door you left behind, and I'm hacking and I'm leaving before anyone can stop me. You know what? That's fair. I take back what I said. You're not sloppy. You're quick. You're efficient. I'm putting together a team. You want to join it? I don't know. And then, the 2 NBN cards they showed off on that same stream. Witch Hunt. This seems scary. When it's scored or stolen, take a bad pub, which, hey, bad pub, not fun. But on the other hand, NBN has ways to clear it. And also, editorial likes getting bad pub. When your action phase ends, if you scored this agenda this turn, remove all tags, then give the runner 3 tags. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. 3 tags is a lot of tags. Yo, I don't know if you've noticed this, but 3? It's bigger than 2. And even worse, it's bigger than 1. That's scary. And if you were, for whatever reason, had them tagged before, like, for instance, if you were using shipment to fast advance something, or if you scored out, well, no, you wouldn't score out a different agenda than this. This is the agenda you're scoring out. But, like, if you did other shit to have tags on them already, then you also get a synapse trigger out of this. Um, I could see this one being a card that looks fucking crazy on paper. Like a, let's say, a Bangoon, for instance. Or maybe like a Plutus, where you read it and you're like, that effect is so cool. I can't wait to get in. And then you get in and it's like, I mean, scoring 2/4s ain't free, and bad pub is a cost you gotta pay. And they do get a chance to clear the tags before I get to do anything with them, and like 3 tags is a lot, but it's less than an Oppo research. I can imagine a world where this is not as bad as it seems at first blush, or not as good as it seems at first blush, right? Um, I like the world where this is a terrifying card to score, because I'm excited to play editorial division, and this is the editorial division agenda, so I'd like it to be good. Um, 3 tags is if I have a Mindscaping and end of the line, fuck you. Yeah, 100%. They like have to clear everything, because they have to assume that if you're scoring this, it's because you have the kill lined up in hand. If you're playing editorial, they don't even have to assume it. They'll know it for a fact because they watched you fetch those cards, right? So it's definitely a lot of economic damage to the runner. I don't know. Maybe out of Synapse, you can do kind of like not a fully horizontal strategy, but like, hey, perhaps something that Flood the Market would pair with well, of like, 2 or 3 remote servers with single pieces of ice, and one of those servers has a Revanchelet. So you take 3 of their credits and then give them 3 tags, and now that's potentially at least 1 less tag they can clear. Maybe 2 less tags if they were on like 4, right? Or just an even number, I guess. Like, I can imagine boards where this hurts really fucking bad. I think the big question I have with editorial right now, and it's something the outfit had to deal with, right? Which was like maybe my favorite corp agenda before rotation. It was that or like PE. Is that, all of these bad publicity effects are really powerful, but they do also give the runner bad publicity, don't they? And that adds up really fast. 1 bad publicity translates to up to 4 credits a turn for the runner. That's a lot of money to be given away like it's candy, And the only way you can really make it make sense is if the benefit you're getting out of it is so insanely powerful, is giving you so much gas that like they simply will not have time to get the value out of the bad publicity. The game's gonna end too fast. And I can see, in theory, editorial doing that, right? It's tutoring out every piece of a kill combo or every piece of a fast advance combo. It can do both, But like, for instance, on that Neon Static stream, they played with editorial twice, and it is a deck that got built without all of the VP cards. It's a deck that got built before the set is out, and people have really done any real like theory crafting with it. With those caveats in mind, though, in both of those games, editorial could not keep its money up. So it didn't matter that it was tutoring out all these scary cards, because when is it ever going to have the money to play them? That's my worry about editorial right now, is does it end up being, hey, yeah, I'm getting all the kill pieces, and they're also sitting dead in my hand while I scramble for money and scramble to stop you from scoring out before I can, like, finish you off, I don't know. I want to believe in it because it is the kind of bastardry that I like doing. I've been, like, through the roof excited for editorial, and then just watching that stream, I'm like, okay, I see the holes in the fence, and are those holes you can patch up and make it work just fine, or are those like structural flaws that are gonna keep it from standing up straight the way Bangoons do? I don't know. I'm much more rooting for the former, but we'll see. Another thing you can do is force them to clear 3 tags and have an Oppo, which, ow. You can combo this with Oppo, but what's the line there? Because if they're just clearing tags, then you can't oppo them immediately, right? They have to trash or steal something for oppo to trigger. I'm not sure how you would do it. Now, what you could do, and again, this is getting into, hey, even one bad publicity is a lot of bad publicity. But if you combo this with Nihilo Agent, now you've built your own oppo research, right? And now they have to clear it all out. And hopefully give you a scoring window off of that, and then you get the bad pub gone with Nihilo Agent next turn. I think people have been saying the correct pronunciation is Nihilo Agent. I'm going to be saying Nihilo Agent. Listen, the nihilo is not a word in English. Annihilate and nihilism are. I'm going to pronounce it the way we pronounce those syllables in other words. I'm sorry. I'm a dumb idiot, and Latin's a dead language, so what are they going to do about it? The other NBN ice they showed off was Paywall. When the runner encounters this ice, they lose a credit and the run unless the runner pays 1 credit. It's a retrain of Pop-Up Window, which was like an iconic NBN ice that rotated. They put it out again in System Update, so it rotated out after Elevation, and like it's back now, baby. That's cool. Was anybody using Pop-Up Window before it rotated? Because I didn't really see it. What got held? I have no idea. Is this top viewers? Oh, this is some kind of like hard to detect. Possible ban evader. This looks like spam. I'm gonna kill this spammer. Apologies. Deny. Okay. Anyhow, now that said, like, yeah, as much as I have like affection for Pop-Up Window, I don't know if it's all that good. Except we do have different cards than we had pre-Elevation. We've got Flood the Market, which wants you to have lots of remote servers with lots of cheap ice to get a bunch of advancements. In that light, Paywall makes a lot of sense. Or at least it makes some sense. You know, it's still like an okay turn 1 ice. You know, especially if, say, you want to save your pings for late game when the tag is like more critical and not just an annoyance on their early econ. I'm not like immediately poo-pooing this, but I'm also not like jumping for joy at it. I'm not like, oh, fuck yeah, baby, Pop-Up Window back. I don't know. And also, you know, it is different than Pop-Up Window, because Pop-Up Window made you a credit. This takes a credit away from the runner, so it's the same amount of, like, the gap between your econ changes by the same amount, but in the opposite direction. My suspicion is that this is stronger than Pop-Up Window for that reason. Especially on, like, say, an early face check. If, say, they run with 5 credits, hey, guess who just lost their sure gamble for this turn, you know? I'm not, like, wilding out over it, though. I don't know. I feel like I am less enthused about this than I've seen some people be. What I do really like, first of all, I think the art's fantastic. I love the just solid wall made out of currency signs. And looking around and seeing, you've got this flavor text of, yeah, I previously worked at a Wayland shop, but the boss had it out for me, creative differences. And what I didn't realize is that this is a reference to Ice Wall. The retrain of Ice Wall. No, I think it's the original Ice Wall. Yeah. I asked for ice as impenetrable as a wall. I can't decide if someone down in R&D has a warped sense of humor or just a very literal mind. So the same person that made this is just doing the same thing now. Like, listen, you wanted a wall, right? I made you a fucking wall. What's the complaint? What do you mean Jinteki made a dolphin? That's how is a dolphin a wall? Explain to me that one. That's such a good little joke. I am very tickled by that. Yeah, if there is a place for paywall at all, it is just to feed Flood the Market. And maybe that's enough. Hard to say. NBN Ice is in such a weird place, which I feel like is something you can say a lot of the time about NBN. Just because they've got so much porous ice. Their like hard ETRs are like ping and Starlit Night, which is a conditional. Like Starlit Night's conditional on them having tags. This is conditional on them not paying the money. Funhouse is conditioned on them not taking a tag. It is when you just want them to not fucking get into your goddamn server, it can be a hard row to hoe with NBN. And I forget how much this was some NSG article or something else. People were saying like, I think a tricky thing about NBN modernly is that historically, in the old days, one of NBN's defining characteristics as a corp was that they're the tracing faction. They're the tagging faction and the tracing faction. And that's the big way that they, like... I was talking before about, like, NBN can make a ton of money and kind of struggles to then spend it. They used to spend it on traces. And they don't have those anymore. And I don't hate traces. I'm not really anti-trace. They're annoying to explain to new players, but I really had nothing against them. I think Winchester's a really interesting, well-designed card. I had a game recently where like it came down to actually a bidding war on the trace. I wouldn't mind if they had a couple, if not literally tracer cards, because it seems like that's just done and over with. Like when Winchester rotates, we're just done with tracing. Then some cards that like just did something similar. That's why again, like I think that like beta version of Revanchelette they showed off like definitely overtuned, but something along those lines I think would be kind of fun. I don't know. I think that'd be I'd like to see it. Piranhas are real again, which is actually helpful given how weird that ice is says something. Yes. Piranhas is a really strong ice for ED. I don't think you play it out of ED because then you are either giving if you have a really rock steady fast advance strat where you can score to 7 or a really rock steady kill strat where you kill them really quick. Again, if you're giving away even one bad publicity, you need to either be able to clear it or win the game too fast for it to matter. And NBN has the capacity for either of those ideas. None of the NBN identities right now move all that fast. Epiphany is very much just a... Playing against Epiphany Analytica, this is always true against asset decks, it is the Dark Souls poison swamp of Netrunner, you know? Even when you're winning, you feel kind of miserable just tromping through waist-high sludge trying to keep up with all their bullshit. And I'm not even saying that, like, you know, I would call some decks misery engines complementary. I like that is a type of deck you have to contend with. I had a Seb versus Epiphany game the other day, and I lost, but it was a fun loss, where I was just miserable for, like, most of the game, and then I was finally mounting a comeback and, like, headrunning. Okay, I'm finding lines to do stuff, and they're having to do weird shell game stuff where, like, the few pieces of ice they've got, I can kill, like, so much of it with the money I've got, but, like, they're on game point. And, like, it got really fun. Sometimes it's fun to be in the Pair Wiggler, you know? Talking about the Pair Wiggler a lot tonight, by which I mean twice. But, yeah, I don't know. Paywall seems okay in, like, a fully op flood the market world, and maybe unplayable anywhere else. What else we got? Oh shoot, did I navigate away from the page? Okay, no, we're good. do I have? We're getting down to it. There are only a couple more community spoilers before that, I think. Matter of fact, I think there's only one, which is Stowaway, which is Ari support. And Ari and Seb are my two favorite runners. And Ari feels a little bad right now, so I'm happy for Ari to see support. This is a near exact duplicate of Cubon card that rotated. The only difference is that Cubon gave you the money as soon as you passed the ice it was attached to. Stowaway only gives you the money at the end of the run if it was a successful run. Which has pluses and minuses. This feels, I think with a lot of these reprints, they wanted them to feel like lateral moves where it's like not clear if it's better or worse, as opposed to, say, Nano Management, where it's literally just the exact same text of the old card, right? This is like, it's not exactly the same. It's functionally the same in most cases, but there's nuances to it that like make it behave a little differently. With Cubon, for instance, you could do shit like, if they've got a really scary inner ice, but a pretty flabby outer ice, you can slap Cubon on it, run it, jack out, and just make money that way, right? Or you could, like, I don't think this is what you would use spree counters on, but imagine you had, say they've got like a 2, you could in theory use spree to make money off of Cubon, right? Whereas like Stowaway, you're only ever making 2 credits off of. The benefit to how Stowaway works, though, is that with Cubon, if you run an unresed piece of ice, and you slap Cubon on it, then they are more incentivized to res that ice, because letting you walk over it for free gives you a free $2, And arguably, there's, like, mind game elements to that, right? Of, like, pressuring them to spend money resing ice they don't want to res right now, So that's not all bad. But you don't have the opportunity to say, like, I'm running this. They say, I don't res. You say, okay, I'll slap Cubon down. You've missed your window by that point. You can't, like, you've passed Prio. You can't use Ari's ability anymore. With Stowaway, because the money doesn't happen until the end of the run, you can get all the way to the end of the run and then slap a Stowaway down, and make the money. When they maybe would have wanted to stop it if they knew that that was an option you had up your sleeve. I'm like not out of my mind jazzed about this. It is a little bit in the like world of, say, like I was saying about, borrowed goods. Which is to say that like it's a workhorse card, it just makes you money. Like, it doesn't do anything flashy. It doesn't even make you the money in that flashy of a way. It's technically usable outside of Ari, but probably Ari is the only one who's really going to make room for it. It's not bad, but it's also not... The Ari card, I really wanted to see a retrain of, and I've still got a bit of a yearning in my heart that we'll see it still, is Ika, which was a Trojan icebreaker that you could pay money to move it onto a different ice and break multiple pieces of ice that way. I don't need it to be a killer. I don't need it to be anything in particular. I just want so bad for Ari to have at least one icebreaker that interfaces with her ability and that isn't locked onto the piece of ice you lock it onto. I want her to be able to move around at least one thing. It's just such a versatile effect to have. And that is the thing I feel the biggest loss of post-elevation with Ari. Seeing people that have played for longer than I have be very excited for Cubon has me think, well, maybe I'm like under-evaluating it. The big reason I'm under-evaluating it, or the big reason I'm a little negative on it, is that, how easy is this going to be to find, I wonder? Tournaments. What? No. Why would you... hold on. Cider Faction. Here we go. Arzon. Is it Arzon or Zen? We'll find out. Yeah. So the Ari deck that won Worlds did not use Cubon. When I got back into Netrunner, and I said, ooh, Ari's a really cool ID, I should use them. Oh, Ari won Worlds last year. I'm gonna just copy that deck and like trade out some of the bans. Like Trickshot was banned by the time I started playing, so I just swapped it out for Overclock, you know? And I was good to go, and like went to my first in-person tournament in like 10 years. I did not make the top cut, but runner side, I was virtually undefeated. I think I lost one game. I had so much fun with this deck. I love this deck. And the fact that it doesn't have Cubon in it kind of signals to me that, well, is Cubon really the most important part of Ari's kit? Is that really what Ari needs to function? You know, the world champion didn't seem to think so. So it makes it a little hard for me to be that thrilled out of my gourd for it. You know what I mean? And again, that might mean that I'm just under-evaluating it. It might be that, you know, there are perfectly solid approaches to Ari that use, like, Stowaway plus Urban Art, what's the word? Urban Art Vernissage, to, like, make money hand over fist. Like, I'm definitely gonna experiment with it, because I love Ari. But it's not the Ari support I was hoping to see personally, you know? Well, hey, Daily Cast and Deep Dive back, so this deck looks okay now. Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, well, again, it looks okay now, except it's missing, fucking Ika. And I think you do feel the loss of Ika. That said, yeah, solid chance I'm just gonna try running this exact deck with just something replacing Ika. Where's the deck list go? There it is. What do you replace Ika with here? I mean, what do you replace Ika with? If you were trying to make minimal changes to this deck, we got to cut DJ Fenris. So you have one influence to play with. I think Revolver is more than one influence, so you're not getting Revolver. What's Revolver? Let's look real quick. I think Revolver's 2 or maybe 3. There's no way it's 1. It's 3, yeah. So we'd have to do some heavy lifting to get a Revolver in here. Boo. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you've got the Creative Comm still, you got the burners, Deep Dives you keep. Diesels become rituals, I guess. Pinholes you keep. Spec Works you keep. Sprees you keep. Sure Gamble. Trickshot becomes Overclock. You keep Onacom. You keep Simulchip. Daily Cast you keep. I don't know what you do with the Fenris slot. Environmental Testing, Hannah, Oiler Gout. Like, I don't think Echelon makes that much sense in this list, right? Because the idea is you're wanting to constantly cycle out your breakers to either refresh Gauss and Euler, get counters back on Propeller. So Echelon's not going to be high strength. So I don't think Echelon makes a lot of sense as your killer. And what other options does Shaper even have in faction for killer? I'm blanking. I mean, Orca, obviously no. Like, be serious. Let's see. S, killer. F, Shaper. Z, standard. It's literally just Echelon, Living Mural, and Orca. And hey, in theory, if Living Mural could just hopscotch onto other cards, I'd be fine with it. If we're pretending like this is the Ika retrain, it isn't. Give me my Cephalopod boy back. I did not really get that he was a Cephalopod for a long time. I like always just saw him real tiny on like on JNet or whatever. I always read him as like a Hercules beetle or something, like just body of a beetle, and like I read the tentacles as like horns. But then you look close. No, he's obviously a Cephalopod. I don't know. What are we talking about? I'd like to see one good killer in this set. That's true. Yeah. It isn't that it did remind me that, like, I think back in old FFG days, when I played in, like, 2013, 2014, 2015, it was kind of a thing that, like, there weren't good killers. Every killer was compromised in some way. Like, I remember Mimic being really good. I think it's called Mimic. Yeah. were like very strong, but it can't boost at all. So it plows through sentries 3 strength or below, but needs assistance to get anything stronger. Or like Mongoose, I remember being another solid one. You cannot use Mongoose to break subroutines on more than 1 ice per turn. So it's got great numbers. It breaks 2 subroutines for 1. But if they've double iced with sentries, then it's fucked, you know? You need, like, multiple Mongooses installed. I remember that being part of the design ethos, that, like, sentries are supposed to be scary. So even the tools that do deal with sentries deal with them inefficiently. And we are close to there right now, except Revolver's very good, you know? And Revolver is obviously also has a compromise of, hey, it's only got 6 shots. 7 shots, technically. But that, hey, in the immortal words of Revolver Ocelot, that's more than enough to kill anything that moves, you know? Especially when you can just flicker it easily. Yeah, I mean, what are the current killers in Standard Period? Because the only 2 I can really think of are... only real ones are Echelon and Revolver. S Killer Z Standard. Bagalter's banned, right? Yeah. Which, first time this program fully breaks the Beast of Ice gain 2. Yeah. Hey, it'd be cool to have Bagalter back, but I don't think that's happening. Hantu, I think, will have its day someday. I think it is good. It just needs a way to generate virus counters the way that you used to be able to with other stuff. Until then, it's just way too limited use. Carmen is real. You're right. Carmen is 100% a real killer. The biggest detriment to Carmen is that Revolver exists, and Criminal's very good at playing a hyper-aggressive game that, you know, 2 Revolvers worth of bullets is enough to deal with, you know? Noom, I mean, Noom's not, like, the worst thing ever, right? It's 2 for 1. Never mind. Yes, it is. Orca, like, you have to build the entire deck around it, and how good is that? Boitada... 3 for 3 is rough. 3 for 3 is really rough. I don't know. Oh, but if you trash any of your programs, each cost 1 less to use, so 2 for 3. That's on par with Carmen and Revolver. And then 1 to break 2. Yeah, you know... I wonder if there's a world where you do something with, like, Knick-Knack, Anarch, and make this make sense. Because Knick-Knack do be loving it when you just trash something at the beginning of a run. Maybe Boitada deserves a little more attention. Maybe. Echelon's good, obviously. Living Mural sucks. I wish it didn't. I tried using it in an Ari deck recently, and it's just like, no. Odori, I'm a little surprised doesn't see more play. Just because everyone's running every fucking companion anyway. I guess 3 for 3 is, like, not ideal. Yeah, I mean, it gets through Drafter. Like, that number lines up fine on Drafter. It lines up fine on Hammer's 6 strength, right? No, Hammer's 4 strength. So, okay, you're overpaying for Hammer unless you're getting a rebate by breaking the subs for free. After Image is, like, almost real right now, and I think once Touchstone's available, it'll become extremely real. But also, I'm not importing that into Ari, I'll tell you that right now. So, yeah, I don't know. They need to give Ari a way to break sentries, please. I mean, I guess there's Fizarums and Botuluses, but I really want Ari to have, like, Ari has in-faction Trojans that do useful utility moves, like Stowaway, like Pichashao. I guess technically like Flux Capacitor, but come on now. But what she doesn't have is an in-faction Trojan that directly lets her challenge ice. She has to import Botulus and Fizarum to do that. And it'd be nice if she had at least one card in faction that let her do the thing she's built to do, you know? And I guess she's got... I'm ignoring Slap Vandal. That would be a fair counter to that. Slap Vandal's the answer. Slap Vandal's the response to what I just said, you know? That is literally... It does the thing that I said I want. But also... It only breaks one subroutine. It can only go on one piece of ice ever. Like, it's much weaker than either Viserum or Botulus, you know? Yeah, it's like, you have to... Realistically, you either have to put this on something that has some subs you're okay letting fire, like, say, an Afshar, where you don't have a choice anyway, or you have to put it on... whatever you want and import poison vials, and then that's using up a bunch of your influence that you have stuff you want to spend that influence on. You want to be using, you know, what do you call it? You want to use Hannah, maybe, for deep dive runs. You want to use Viserum. You want to use Botulus. You know, influence is kind of in short supply. So spending on poison vials isn't like... It works. Like, it's not bad, but it's not something I'm excited to do, you know? But yeah, I'm honestly very excited for Vantage Point. I think most of the cards they've shown off look pretty fucking sick. I am really excited about Editorial Division. I'm really excited about MeliSU. I'm really excited about Hiram. I think Vic is going to be very strong, even if I'm not that excited about it. It feels like it's just going to... I don't know. I think DreamNet is going to be enough to make Vic the new, like, Reg Crim, I guess. It's going to be between, like, it and Moosely Hot. And, like, what's the... I'm blanking on... I think Baz also gets, like, some really interesting stuff to do now. I think Underdome Regulars makes Baz really interesting. I think Baz really likes getting daily casts. That's another element of I am really excited for, is that they're trying to make some underutilized stuff from Elevation real. Baz, I feel like, was kind of on the cusp. Like, hey, a Baz made top cut at Worlds, right? Like, Baz isn't bad, but he was kind of just not quite getting there, and I feel like they're giving him the tools he needs to get there, and that's exciting. I'm worried Stick and Poke by itself gets Rio from unusable to where Baz was circa Worlds, where Baz is right now, right? We're like on the cusp, really good play against good matchups. Yes, you can post some like good results with Ryu, but not a serious contender for like the top of the heap. I think she needs one or two more tools in his toolkit before they get there. I realize that it's not like a requirement or anything, but the way that Rio's flavor text is written to like literally every time it has like a pronoun used, she goes by a different pronoun. It has kind of conditioned me to want to flip what pronoun I use every time, even mid-sentence, and it is a little bit of like a, oh god, forget the point I'm trying to make. Let me dig for a different pronoun than the one I've been saying. I have such hopes for Rio, which is a long shot, but yet I hope. Like I said, it would not at all shock me if Ryu gets one more piece of support. And I think with one more piece of support on top of Stick and Poke, she gets there. I do think that's very possible. I'm not convinced Stick and Poke by itself is enough. I think it is movement in the right direction, but it is like a very clearly not wanting to like put too much weight on the scale, clearly not wanting to build a card that just gets stolen from Ryu and put into every other deck. Clearly not wanting to just make Bonhar again because Bonhar is way overpowered. But I do think it ends up, because you're trying to use such a light touch, my concern is it's a little too light of a touch, and on its own it doesn't get you where you need to go. But like I said, there's a lot of cards they have not shown yet. A lot of Anarch cards they have not shown yet. will not be shocked at all if there's one or two other pieces that can get Ryu where they want to go, and you know, God willing, also gets Topon where they want to go, right? Because in a lot of ways, if we're going with the stick and poke route of like we want, self-inflicted damage to fire Ryu's ability, then Topon and Ryo are kind of right next to each other, and they can use the same support pieces that you don't necessarily, that either like other IDs wouldn't care about, or other IDs don't get as much bang for their buck out of. Like, in a world where they reprint titanium ribs, who wouldn't like that, right? It's always good to get to pick which cards you lose. Choices are always better. But they don't, when I'm deliberately damaging myself every single turn, it's more important to me than it is for like, oh, I just want to make sure that my seal skin gets dropped. So I can survive like a double measured, which that's the other side of it too, is that if you literally reprinted titanium ribs word for word, it maybe makes runners a real pain in the ass to flatline, and maybe that's a problem. Even if it was like, trash a card from your grip, prevent 1 net damage, right? So functionally, the first damage you take each turn, you decide what it is, but it's not every single one. Though that doesn't really solve the problem I was just describing. Or again, something like in a way toned down Clan Vengeance, where like, as you take damage, build power counters on this thing. When enough power counters are built up, maybe make it virus counters to make it more vulnerable or something, right? When it has enough whatever, then like do a big cool effect, There's lots of ways I think you could get Ryu there and Topon there. I just literally just looking at what they've shown yet though, I'm not convinced it's enough, but that's okay because we got a lot of road left to go. I will say it was so nice last week when I work graveyards, and just as I'm getting off work every morning, there's like a new NSG article with some new cards to look at. Delightful. And I think it's very cool. They hand out all these spoilers to like community creators and what have you. But the inconsistent timing of it has really taken my dopamine fix away. It's like when you hear about like Skinner box stuff, if you just give the rat the reward consistently, you get somewhat reliable results in getting the rat to do the behavior you want. But when you give it to them inconsistently, oh, it's so much better. Oh, they'll just keep grinding. They'll keep opening more. They'll keep doing more scratch-offs because you're inconsistently rewarding them. And if they don't get it, they're like, well, I'm just going to try a few more times. That's how I feel right now, getting like, well, sometimes you get it in like the middle of the night. Sometimes it's not till like the evening when there's like a stream. Sometimes it's in the middle of the day. Oh, who knows? I'm like, no, come on. I do think there's a degree to which I think I've accepted. Listen, it's 11 p.m. I don't know if we're playing any Netrunner tonight. I think we're just chatting, and that's fine. I do think there's a degree to which like Elevation rotated out a lot of beloved cards, a lot of cards that at least some folks would tell you were load-bearing for the meta, that the game just got less fun and less interesting without, like a Border Control, like a Chrysium Grid. And so I understand, especially because my understanding is they actually made VP on like an accelerated schedule to like directly address kind of perceived flaws in the meta. I understand why we're getting so many retrains. The positive side of losing all that stuff was to like blow open new design space to like let you like, sure, yeah, we don't have Border Control anymore, but maybe we have this thing, and maybe you end up liking that better than you ever liked Border Control, right? And that's not what we're getting. And that's not what we could ever get on like the timetable they were working on. I completely understand how you get there. And I also respect that it's not literal reprints. They're fussing with all of them at least a little bit to make it, feel distinct. But there is a part of me that's a little bit like, oh, you are sort of closing off the possibility space that you opened up. You're kind of like losing the upside of dumping all of those like long-standing staple cards. But at the same time, there's retrains we've seen of what, 5 to 10 classic cards or whatever. They've rotated out like hundreds, so you know, it's definitely not the end of the world or anything, but it is like, oh cool, new border control. Okay, you know, that's fine. I'm happy for it. You know, Wayland will like it, and I like Wayland, so hey, cool. It's less like exciting than if you showed me something that has all the like utility and nuance of border control, but it's a whole new thing. You know what I mean? Kind of nothing for it. You got to do what you got to do. I totally get it. But you know, that is maybe the one element of VP that I'm like a little more like tempered on compared to like the excitement I have, because and it's also not all just retrains, right? There is exciting new stuff. I think Hiram is such a cool fucking runner, and I'm gonna be so sad if he sucks. As happy as I am to see Deep Dive back, it makes Hiram make less sense, and I don't like that. Although Deep Dive Hiram, here's the thing. If I wait to do my Deep Dive turn until I know there's a card on top of R&D to snipe that, and then Deep Dive to get 2 more on top of that, that's a pretty mean play pattern, you know? That's a, oh, you didn't like it how Sable could go from 0 points to winning on, like, turn 1? What if I go from 0 points to winning on, like, turn 4? Huh? Is that better? How about this crusty old man just kicks your ass? So I don't know. That might be cool. I'm pretty talked out, honestly. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna play one game with Seb real quick, just to come down, just to feel something. My throat's getting sore. I also, before this, me and my wife are playing through Ace Attorney Investigations 2, which is the one Ace Attorney game I have not played. And, you know, we're playing it together, and that means we're reading the dialogue out, and you know I'm doing silly voices. And the thing about those games is that there's a lot of guys that just seem to suggest gruff voices. Like, you know, how you gonna do Detective Gumshoe without talking like this? Ah, come on. He clearly talks something like this. Mr. Edgeworth, I got a clue for you over here. And hey, that's fun to do, but it does maybe tax out your voice when you're reading just an hour straight of visual novel dialogue. Oh, I miss Gumshoe so much. I do, and again, we talked about we have not seen many Anarch cards. I haven't really seen much I'm going to change about this Seb deck. I did, so this is not the Seb list I've been playing. I went and looked at, like, one that won a recent tournament, and it was mostly the same list, but they cut, compared to what I had, it cuts chisels and adds sure gambles, which I think is smart. People cut sure gamble out because once you've got Audrey humming, you don't need that much money. You're saving a lot of money installing all the resources for free. But man, early on, having sure gambles really smooths out the game. I was missing them, and it feels good to have them back. The only change I could imagine making, based on what we've seen so far, is dumping them for daily casts. Because you can install daily cast off of the price, and you can recur daily cast with Praxis if you're, like, hurting for money, right? That's, like, never gonna be the best thing to hit with Praxis. But sometimes you don't get to make the best choice, right? You gotta make the choice that the game gives you. What's the play here? I would love to have a Transfer of Wealth in hand right now because we could do some mean shit with it. But I think we're just gonna set up... Crew is the most... Like, that's gonna give us power to do offense, right? Is there anything better than a one-click, one-sure gamble? No, there's not. It's beautiful. I feel... It's like just a splash of cool water on a hot day. Like, everything's gonna be okay. loved that to be in the opposite order. Come on, give me a transfer of wealth. Be a pal. I'd settle for a connection to install off a Seb. Well, the sure gamble giveth and the sure gamble taketh away. They're not scoring out. I'm surprised by that. Oh, it's an upgrade. Okay. Hey, that's what we want to see. Green mail. Okay. So we've got a Biawak to be scared of somewhere. I think let's just harass their hand. Ah, we don't have the clicks to get Leech down. We should have maybe done that last turn. That's okay. Oh, man! Hey, now that's not fair. I think it's really rude for people to pack tech against my ID. I understand that Seb stocks are kind of like at an all-time high right now, and the Hoshman is only going to make them higher. But if you consider that I liked Seb before he was cool, and that I shouldn't be punished for other people using him because he's on meta. If we consider that I'm just a little birthday boy who deserves all the treasures in the world. My noble and pure-hearted sure gamble their evil and despicable hedge fund. Exactly. They're setting up a rougher scoring server, which I don't love to see. I'd love to hold on to the Praxis until we can get full, until we're on threat. Anytime a green mail gets scored, I just kind of assume, okay, anything unres is a Biawak, right? You have to play as though everything's... obviously, that can't be a Biawak because they're advancing it. But other than that... what do we do? Do we just 1, 2, 3 run? That's probably what we do, right? I think so. Oh, no, we don't, because we don't have the MU for it. So we're going to have to forego the leech counter, which is not ideal. But we'll make do. Kill that. I think we do this. I think we trash this for money. And we pass. Just thinking earlier how interesting is that because of the format, Netrunner doesn't have sideboards. Yeah, Netrunner does not have sideboards, which I honestly... And hey, my beautiful Netrunner, they're despicable Magic the Gathering, right? That's I often feel rude and disrespectful toward Magic the Gathering. I like it so much more not having sideboards. Just saying, nope, you have got the deck you've got. You need to read the meta, think about the meta, and figure out the right balance between pushing your own game plan forward and having enough to like anticipate and deal with the threats that you expect to see. I think that is so much more of a fun deck building challenge. And I can understand that like in a game like Magic where you have lands eating up a third of your deck, that is a tougher like proposition. Totally can appreciate that. But I just think it's much more interesting to have to figure out the slots and not get to, make a pit stop midway through, I think do we pay money? I think we click through this and then trash it, right? I think that makes the most sense. So our money is like okay, but it's not through the roof. It's about to get better, obviously. But why let it get bad immediately? Card from hand. Loot box. What are you? Oh, buddy, you're cooking a weird soup. What the heck? What does this even do? End the run unless the runner pays 2. Reveal the top 3 cards of the stack. Add one of those cards to the grip and gain X, where X is equal to the number of cards play or install cost. The runner shuffles the stack. Trash this ice. Huh. Interesting. I'm tempted to let them have it. just because there's probably something better to trash, right? Ah, fuck it. Since when am I in the business of letting them keep cards? Alright. If they're anything like me, the mere fact that I had to pause so long to read their weird fucking card that no one plays has already given them all the joy they need to sustain themselves for this game. They've already met their win condition. I hope they feel that way. Oh, no further action. Got it. It's alright. Oh, they're out of money, that's why. Right. I took all of their money away from them. That's why they're not raising anything. Makoto Langit. Okay, they're cooking some strange brew over here. I will never say anything bad about someone using weird cards. Always in favor of it. Always rooting for you to show that you were correct to put the weird cards in your deck, you know? Okay. I don't... That reads to me like they absolutely have a Biowalk around, and that they don't want me crewing. Thank God. We got our console. Here's this question. Is this a spin doctor, or is it a bite that they're trying to bait us with? If it's a spin doctor, it's not like they're about to slab out something on us, right? So I don't know how scared we need to be of it. I think they're totally broke. Oh, they're broke. If it's a bite, we just kill it. Spindo. Okay. I would love to get a badge counter this turn. If we get a badge counter, I'll practice out. Okay, we got another loot box. Hell yeah. Do they... Wait, reveal the top 3 cards of the stack. Add one of those... Oh, they give me one of my cards. I misread this before. That's... I'm fascinated. I will absolutely just... Yeah, let it rock. What do we got, man? I'm paying the money. What are you giving me? I'm happy to have any of these, although I really want the transfer, which you're not going to give me. That's fine. Hey, I'll take an agenda. I don't think we're getting a badge counter. So let's just slap this down for next turn. Like, obviously this is GameNet support. You can tell from the flavor and from the fact that, like, hey, this would get GameNet a credit. That was one thing, yeah. They're weirdly putting more cards... Oh, bummer. Weirdly putting more cards that support GameNet into this set than I was expecting. Like, Paywall does it. Revanchelit can trigger GameNet on Steel. There was one other one, I don't remember. But, like, yeah, it seems like they're weirdly giving GameNet some toys to play with, which is interesting. They still can't res a Biowalk. I don't think they can res any of this. The worst thing they can throw at me is a Castleroid, which I don't care about. Yeah, I don't think loot box is good. I guess it gives you money, right? Like, in theory, you're putting the most expensive card out of them into the runner's hand. It's the card they're least likely to be able to use. Like, I kind of get the idea, but I don't think it's good. I would need to see like how it does a weird combo before I'd be like, oh yeah, do that. Go poke around in HQ. No. Just pay the 2. And we have a ton of Audrey counters, but I don't really want to trash any of this. Hey now. So measured is live. We need to be conscientious of that. So I'm not going to clear the tag. Because they can't kill me with end of the line this turn. GameNet Endless Yule is very funny. Endless Eula in general is just a very funny card. Move a tag. I'm gonna win this. Okay. Okay. So Praxis is fully live now. So I think why don't we do this, then slap this down, slap this down, get a gourmand. Too bad we don't have Manuel. That's the one thing I'd really like to see right now. Let's Hannah the remote. They've been really having a hard time getting their money up, which means we can just kind of bully them. Clearinghouse, yeah. It's a little expensive, but I'm going to trash it hard way so that I can save Gourmand for an operation. Because now we're going to go HQ. Now we're going to fully break to get rid of Spare Lago. No, third loot box. No, I didn't trash the second one, right? Yeah. There's our boy. So next turn we can just really start kicking the crap out of their centrals. And that'll probably get us the win. Yeah. Alright. Remove tag. Yup. Oh, yeah. Have we lost buffer drive at some point? We haven't. It's not going to come into play in this game. Plute. There it is. Was all boomy. Oh, yeah, they had no Bia walk down. Damn. Yeah, that was tough. We got on top of them early, and 7 can be really oppressive if those early transfers just steal all your money, and or we just munch your ice. Which I guess, did we kill any ice that game? I don't think we did, because I think the only ice that ended up getting rezzed was the Kessleroid. It's a little early, but like I said, I'm a little talked out, so I think we're gonna call it there. Like I said, assuming that JNet cooperates, my plan for next week is we're gonna start at the normal time. We're gonna spend the first 3 hours of the stream just deck building and theory crafting. I want to make lots of different decks. Let's make an editorial deck. Let's make a Synapse deck. Let's make a Baz deck. Let's make a Vic. Let's make a Melius, a Hiram. Anything we think can be like really cool with the new cards. Ryu. And then I'm crossing my fingers that midnight rolls over. Maybe even 11 p.m. rolls over if we're going on East Coast time. And we just fucking play Netrunner until the sun comes up, baby. I don't know. We'll see. I guess it might also be on a West Coast time, in which case might take a break for a couple hours and then come back at 2 a.m. because I'm wide awake then. I work nights. And any other night owls can just hang out while we just play a bunch of fucking Netrunner, because Lord knows I'm gonna have no interest in doing anything else that night. So may as well hang out with anyone that wants to hang out. But that's the plan. So yeah, come hang out for that. Come play games with me then. And I think that's gonna do it for now. I will see y'all next week. Goodbye.